Greetings, my fellow Legionnaires. I'm Calypso, and I'm back at it again with another Legacy of Kain Deluxe Edition update for the Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remasters. If you missed my other videos, we are getting a Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered version from Limited Run Games. I go over that extensively in this video here. We are also getting a tabletop RPG game in the Encyclopedia of Legacy of Kain. I go over that here, but this is about the Deluxe Edition from Amazon Prime that plenty of you have called out already and said was a thing. My mistake for not believing in you. Tomb Raider had done this as well as also a Limited Run Games thing. They also did a regular version from Amazon, and that's what we have here. They're following in the Tomb Raider steps, following in Lara Croft's footsteps, essentially. Also, her birthday is in a couple of weeks, and the Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6 remaster games are coming out. Pretty excited for that. I'll go over those when that does come out. But this is for the PS5 and Nintendo Switch. From what I can see and from what I've been able to find, just browsing through Amazon and doing some minor Googling, this Deluxe Edition is only for the PlayStation 5, it looks like. At least that's what I'm seeing on my end. For those of you with better eyes and better Googling skills, if you can find an Xbox edition of this or a Nintendo Switch edition of this Deluxe Edition that's not PS5 only, please comment down below and I'll pin it. But this is a very basic Deluxe Edition, as is sort of standard from back then. It's $50, which is not $120 or whatever that Limited Run Games is doing, and it didn't sell out in 5 minutes, and I'm pretty sure this will be a forever go-to thing now that it's a thing. We are getting a very basic art book, it looks like, and it seems from the images here that it is going to be a lot of the concept art inside of the remastered versions already, only in physical form, which is very cool. If you didn't only want those in digital form, now you have a little art book. We also got the official soundtrack. Again, it'll probably be just a curated number of tracks that are on the remastered version already, but if you did want the full version of these soundtracks, plenty of fans, including Raina Audrin herself and a few others, have archived all the soundtracks, ripped them directly, and given you every single little MIDI detail from when they were released and on the discs, and there are all these little hidden details. It's really cool. So if on YouTube and everything, if you guys want to check that out. But you do get a little soundtrack here, and of course you get a little box and the game and a cool steel book that features the Soul Reaver, the Pillar's base, and the door to the time streaming device of Mobius's areas. All very, very cool, very basic Deluxe Edition, but it is good enough for me that if I had a PS5 I would get this. I think the Limited Run thing was very cool, but I just don't like Limited Run as a company very much. Again, I go over that already in my other video. We also have a surprise update, and I'll get more into like how I feel about this at the end, so stick with me if you want to. But we have a surprise update from the campaign of the Legacy of Kain Book of Nosgoth and the tabletop RPG game Scourge of the Seraphim. So many of you have asked for playable vampires. This is the world of Legacy of Kain. Vampires are its main focal point for the entire series, apart from the Hilden, which would be a cool race. But the Scourge of the Seraphim tabletop RPG is putting the playable vampire classes, probably going to be 6 classes like the Seraphim, each one maybe being a different clan of vampires within the world of Nosgoth, behind a paywall. And not just any paywall, a $400,000 stretch goal paywall. And here is my problem with, as much and as excited as I am that Legacy of Kain is being revived very slowly but surely at this point, pretty much. I'm sure we can gather that a new game is coming, a remake, more remasters, something along the line. I've talked about that extensively in every other video. But the fact that this tabletop RPG doesn't have vampires as a class right from the get-go, and they're locking them behind a little stretch goal, is a bit weird to me. I don't like it, and it puts a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. Like, don't get me wrong, all this stuff is very cool. Legacy of Kain makes like $1 bajillion from the comic and everything, and we are a very dedicated fan base. That cannot be contested whatsoever. And I understand the hesitance that Crystal Dynamics has, that Embracer has, that all those companies have when reviving old games like this. Makes perfect sense that they would cautiously go into all of this stuff and kind of put things on Kickstarters and how much money does this make? Are there really still dedicated people? I get it. But at the exact same time, having a friggin' tabletop RPG that focuses on the Seraphim Knights within this world, and to not have vampires already as a player class and putting them behind a paywall just kind of sucks, in my opinion. It feels sort of scummy, and that's how I feel about this whole thing, essentially. I think the BitBot prequel comic is a really cool idea. I hope it turns out great. I hope it doesn't come off as really bad fan fiction, but I think locking behind all of this stuff behind a paywall for like shirts and all that collector stuff, I get it. But having things that kind of should be, duh, you should have done this from the get-go behind a paywall just feels a bit off to me. That's my own personal feelings. How do you guys feel about this? But this is a really short video. This is our deluxe edition. How do you guys feel about that? If you guys didn't know already, yes, there is a Book of Nosgoth encyclopedia coming out and the tabletop coming out. I've talked about it here. All the links for that are in that video and everything, and this is just really the deluxe edition. I think, again, all of this is very, very cool, but having everything behind a paywall and just this whole cautiously optimistic thing from the studio, while it makes sense, it just feels a little scummy to me. That's just my opinion. How do you guys feel? What do you guys think about this deluxe edition? I think it's cool. I don't have a PS5, so I'm not going to get it, but like if I did, I would. Same thing for the limited run. Even though I don't like their company, because it's Soul Reaver, I would shill the fuck out and get all that limited run deluxe edition merch stuff just because it's Legacy of Kain and just because I want to see this series back, just because I want to support it. Simple as that. Anyways, very short video. I've been Calypso. I'll see you in the next one. Here's a couple more minutes of padding so I can monetize this thing, and I will see you in the next one. Completely forgot, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered has recently got a pretty large patch on consoles and on PC. Pretty much fixes all of the bugs and addresses some of the issues that people had with the remasters. There's a toggle for the day and night cycle now, so you can pretty much turn it off if you don't want it. It's a very cool addition to the game, but that toggle there is nice. There's a bunch more hints for the gameplay mechanics and everything, and just a bunch of whole slew of patch notes I won't bother to go over because it's a lot. But it did get updated. Bugs are now fixed. I'm sure more bugs that people find will be fixed in future patches and other really cool things. Okay, bye now.
Lies, Raziel. Do not be deceived.
Ah, my ancient benefactor. And I dared to hope we had parted ways forever. Your silence was refreshing, but it lasted. No doubt you have a conveniently inexpressible reason for your presence here?
Do not be insolent, Raziel. I am eternally present here and everywhere, now and always. I am the still center of the turning wheel, the hub of this world's destiny.
But perhaps not so omnipotent as you'd have me believe. Your hold on me appears to be tenuous. I no longer seem to need you. Yet I'm guessing you still need me.
This impudence is unworthy of you, Raziel. Do not forget that you have a task to fulfill here. You are indebted to me.
Indebted? You would have me show gratitude for a gift I didn't ask to be bestowed? Do you forget that you forced me to inhabit this vile carcass?
I restored you to yourself, Raziel. It was Kain who destroyed you. The very enemy you've just let slip through your grasp. Do not fail me, my servant.
I serve no one. Not you, not Kain, and not your lackey Mobius.
Mobius is my good servant. I have many.
And if I tell Mobius that he's worshipping a...